Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of This Life's the Pits here with a quick pit stop. And we are also over on the YouTube and we are breaking barriers over here in this sesh. We're going to chat a little bit about a session I had last week with one of my coaching clients. We did a breakthrough session and it was such a beautiful connection that we had. And we talked a lot about feeling stuck and sort of this transitional phase of what's next in our life. And so I wanted to really let you guys know in this community about some of the things that I do and the three ways that I really move through what we call the void stage in feeling stuck. So, where we're not who or where we were, but we're also not where we want to be. There's this kind of middle stage, this void stage, if you will, that we're sort of almost like, and I've said this before, a snake shedding its skin. You're kind of emerging into this new you, but it's uncomfortable and painful and sometimes just hard, you know? So, what I want to share with you guys is my three-step process in this idea that in order to master something, in order to make a massive change and become a master of your own life, you have to begin somewhere. You have to start, right? So sometimes it means we do it scared, we do it messy, we do it through discomfort. Okay. And I was muted. Oh my goodness, technology, y'all. It is something fierce today. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But what I wanted to, good grief. Okay. What I wanted to share, sorry, you guys, I could edit this out, but I think it's important for people to hear and see the messiness of all of this. All right. So, what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted by this YouTube channel here, but we always want it to be perfect, right? And let's just face it, when we start something like recording a podcast and it's messy and it's nerve-wracking and it's uncomfortable, right? We want it to be perfect. We want it to be flawless, but we're afraid. We're afraid to start. We're afraid to begin because we're afraid to fail. And ultimately, it's not even the fear of failure, is what we discovered on this call the other day. It's really the fear of other people seeing us fail. It's claiming our shot and then not reaching it, right? And so that's really what holds us back so often from starting, but you can't be a master, guys, if we don't start, right? I mean, for those of you that are in the social work field, it took me a decade plus to get my license. It took me a decade plus to become a clinical social worker, because I did it in an unconventional way. And it's nothing that was wrong with it. It was, I did it on my own terms, right? Because I didn't want to do it the way that everybody else told me I had to. And not everybody, but that sort of the system has set up for us to go at in a one-track way. And I did it differently. And I think it's what made me really see things in a different way and fight through the difficulty and the messiness. It allowed me to show up in all of that and emerge on the other side. Like I was saying, a snake shedding its skin, right? Emerging on the other side, vibrant and ready for the next evolution. So, with this client, I shared with them the three-step process in change. And while being in that void stage, how to move through it and collapse time. And it is vision, intention, and action. All right, so I'm going to break that down. Vision, intention, action. So first and foremost, we have to visualize. And this is so difficult, especially for those of us that have some neurodivergence where we're struggling with symptoms of ADHD or anxiety or OCD or even some depression, right? Like these symptoms can definitely make it really hard for our mind to quiet so that we can actually do the work. And so this means we have to practice this, guys. This means that we have to add this to our daily practice of sitting with ourselves and visualizing. What does this person in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, what does she do? Where do you go? What are you dressing like? What are you eating? Where are you spending your time? Who are you spending your time with? What are the outfits you're wearing? What do you spend your money on, right? Get really clear on this vision of this person and who this person is. Really clear, right? Write that down. Sit with yourself, visualize. What does she look like? How is she behaving? What is she doing? Who is she spending time with? And then when we have a clear vision of that, now it's intention. What are my intentions? And intentions come down to goal setting. Okay. So the last is action, right? We're going to goal set and then we're going to take action on those. So we've got the visualization. Now we move into the intention and the goal setting process. I want you guys, for those of you that are on YouTube looking at this, I am going to show you how I do this and how I walked my client through this breakthrough session the other day with, and how I walk most of my clients through this is think of you have four wheels on a car or four pillars of your home that are holding you up strong. Okay. Those four pillars are family, sense of self, social life, and career. Those four pillars are holding you up. Okay. Now, sometimes in your life, you're going to give a little bit more energy to one or the other of those pillars, depending on the stage of life, right? If you're having a baby, you just have, or if you have young kids, your life might be more geared towards family. If you just opened a business, your life and your energy might be more in your career, right? But we're balancing that the best we can. Sometimes one is a little bit more full. The air tire is more, air in the tire is more full than the others. Or sometimes our pillars, one's a little bit higher than the other. But just know that we are all evening that out as we're doing this balancing act, right? So looking at those four pillars, if you guys are on YouTube, I'm showing you, I want you to draw a big cross in the middle of your paper. Okay, so take a notebook. Listen, y'all, I am like real easy breezy with it. Take a notebook, just take a piece of paper and write a huge cross in the middle of it, breaking it down into four sections. One section is family, one section is career, one section is sense of self, and the other being social life. Okay, so break those out. And I want you to spend time, whether it's you spend time today writing this out and even come back to it over the next week or two, because sometimes, consistency is key. And if we have new ideas floating through every day for a period of a week or two, it's okay to add to these. But this is going to be where you sort of the hub of all your goals that come through as you're doing visualization over the next week or two. Okay. So, for example, in your family, if you want to take a family trip in the next couple of years, jot that down. Make sure you're specific. Where are you going? Who's going? What are you going to be doing? Right? If you have a family goal of moving, where are you moving? What do you want the house to look like? Where is it going to be? What's the surroundings? What are your neighbors like? Right? Write all that down. So moving on to social, if you have social, if you want to build a tribe of your own, if you want to create a book club, if you want to create, a group of friends and get them together more often, right? Kind of jot those things down. Um, I have a huge goal of some social stuff going on this year for myself of really spending more time with my friends, putting more energy into checking in on them. And it's been a really beautiful journey so far. So moving on to career, what are the things, and this one can be tricky, but what are the things that you really want to do? If there were no barriers or boundaries to you receiving this role, what would it look like? Just jot it all down. Don't worry about how it's going to look, just the goal. Put it there, right? I have some massive, massive goals. And guys, I don't even have the tools yet to be able to achieve these goals. But I know that I'm capable of manifesting those and really building those tools in my life over the next 2, 5, 10 years because I'm just putting it down on paper. So put the career goal down. Even if you don't have the degree, even if you don't have the credentials, even if you don't, I just want you to put it down. Put it down on paper. Okay. List it all out. And then that sense of self goal, right? So I have goals around reading books. I have goals around my fitness. I have goals around my faith. I have goals around my finances. I want you guys to jot those down, right? Do you have a certain amount you want to save for a trip or just you want to save just for a rainy day, right? Certain amount of money. Or do you have some project that you want to do that's going to cost you? Or do you have a fitness goal that you have? Or do you have a faith-based goal? And I don't necessarily mean faith in religion, but faith-based in you. Do you have something, a um, project or something that you want to complete that really is a faith in yourself? Okay, so write those down in each area. I want you to break those out. And if you need to do a page for each because you have so many goals, do it. Just do anything and everything that comes to mind. I don't want you to hold back. This is the space where you want to write all of it down. Okay. So first, we're going to visualize. We're going to visualize that person in a year, 2, 5, 10 years from now, who is that best level self, that highest version of you. And next, all the goals that that person is going to complete. All of them. All million goals that you have, or 2, whatever. But write them down in each category. Break it up into family, career, sense of self, social life. Okay. Now, after a week or 2 of really taking time to visualize every day and jot down any goals that have come to mind, I want you to revisit this. And I want you to look at this paper and I want you to take a pen or a highlighter, whatever strikes your fancy. And I want you to look at all 4 of those areas. And I want you to see any goals that overlap. Okay. So if I have a personal goal, if I have a sense of self goal of taking a certain trip, and that same thing is in my family goal, and then it's in a social goal, or if it's just in family and sense of self, I want you to circle that. I want you to highlight that. If I have a career goal of saving $10,000 to go do this thing with it, and it's partly going to be involving my family, and then it's also fulfilling my sense of self goal in this faith that I have in myself of building this thing, right? So it's that goal is actually hitting 3 areas, 3 pillars, 3 wheels on my car, right? Circle that, highlight it. I want you to go through and really look at these goals and say, what are the goals that are crossing over into 2 or more of my 4 pillars? Okay. So really looking at that, highlighting those, you might have a couple or you might have 10 or 20 goals that are really hitting all of those areas. What I want you to do at that point is extrapolate those. So if you're looking on YouTube here and I have all these goals listed out in every area, and then I have maybe, a family, social and career goal or a career and family goal, I have maybe 5 goals that hit 2 or more areas of my pillars. I'm going to extrapolate those out and then I'm going to look and I'm going to ask myself, what are the top 2 to 3 that I want to focus on? The top 2 to 3 that would just light my soul on fire. And these are the 1 to 3 goals that we're going to focus on. So if you look at that and you say, okay, these are the 3 goals. Let me walk it back for a second and give you guys an example. I think this is really one that has hit home that I share a lot with folks. If we have 10 soccer balls at the 50-yard line and somebody says to you, you get 10 kicks to score. Now you could kick each ball once. And some of you might be really talented and be able to score from the 50-yard line. I ain't that girl. Just so y'all know, I'm not a soccer player. Don't have the foot-eye coordination. However, I would probably take 2 or 3 of those balls and I would kick them 3 or 4 times each, and I'm probably gonna score, right? So what happens in our brain when we say, without doing this process, when we say, "Well, just get started." It's really hard to get started when you're not even sure what the balls are that you're kicking or what direction you're kicking in, right? But when you do this process, when you sit down and you visualize, who is it that I want to be? And then you sit with intention and say, okay, these are the 4 areas of my life that make me whole. Where are the goals that I have in these 4 areas? And what are the goals that overlap? Then we narrow it down and we say, oh, these are the 2 goals that overlap. And now we're going to kick the hell out of those 2 goals. We're going to take massive action because it's backed by intention and visualization. All right. So, with all of that said, just remembering vision, intention, action. Take time to yourself to do this every single day. Give yourself 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and then take action on those couple goals. It's really going to set the stage of helping you start. Because I talk to so many of my clients, I do these breakthrough sessions. I've had 5 breakthrough sessions in the last month, and every single one of them is saying, I'm not really sure where to start. It's because we are looking at 10 soccer balls on a field and not knowing which direction to kick and not knowing how many times it's going to take us to kick that ball into the goal. It paralyzes us because the field is so big. The world is so big. There's so much we can do, and it's just us. We're out here on our own trying to figure it out. And you guys, you have the power to figure this out. You have everything you need inside of you to figure this out. We just have to go and walk the process. And if you're willing to do that, you're going to make strides. You're going to move forward. I can promise you that. I'm living proof. Now, I want to segue briefly because a lot of the folks I'm working with recently are really focused on the feeling stuck inside the career space. Okay. And so a lot of folks are coming to me not in way of creating a business per se, but trying to move through this feeling of being paralyzed in their own career, and that is affecting the other pillars of their life. And so if this is you, feel free to hang on and listen to the rest of this, but there are 4 different types of career paths to get into. Okay. Again, narrowing it down, right? When I have done this and kind of looked at this and studied and talked to other people and listened to podcasts and read books, this is what we've narrowed it down to, is that there is the people business, the builder's business, the creator's business, and the processing business. So if you sometimes you might fit into a couple of those, right? So I'm in the people business. I work with people. All right. But I'm also in the creative space. I also create a ton of content and stuff like this for you guys. So being aware that when you're in different types of avenues of career path, learning that, right? If you are in the building, you're more in structural, maybe engineering, things of that nature, right? You're hands on. If you're in the processing, that's going to be your IT folks, your people that are doing processing and things of that nature. So if you're in the people business, which a lot of my folks are that I'm working with, so I'm speaking to you right now, there are a few questions you can ask yourself to kind of hone in on these goals. I want you to first and foremost go back to who you were as your 5-year-old self, as your 10-year-old self, as your 15-year-old self. What did you want to do? Who did you want to be in this world? Go back. When you're doing this visualization, I want you to take your younger self back and visualize who the person is in the future that you wanted to be. Sit with that for a few minutes. Get ignited about that. And then ask yourself, okay, this is who I wanted to be. This is what I wanted to do. Who's the population I want to work with? Is it kids? Is it adolescents? Is it adults? Is it elderly? Is it all of it? What do you want to do? Who is the population that you want to serve? I mean, I could tell you right now, guys, I've done so many different things. I've worked in so many avenues with every single population you could think of in the social work field. And I can tell you right now, I know that I am not suited to work in hospice care. I did it for a while and I volunteered for a while and I love that line of work and I have such beautiful memories, but I know long term that is not something I can give all of me at. I knew that. I've learned that. And so I want you to really sit with what's the population. If you are in the people business, again, I'm speaking to those that are in the people and creative side of business, not those engineers, not those IT folks, but more people business, because that's who I've been attracting in my world a lot that are in need. I'm finding in my community. And so if that's you, what I want you to do is just sit, who's the what's the population I want to work with? And then ask yourself, what are their needs? What are their needs and desires of that population? And then of those needs and desires, what can I be a part of? What most excites me? So when I break this down, right? I broke it down that I enjoy working with kids, but I love the crap out of my teenagers and young adults. And I really, really, really enjoy working with adults like me who felt stuck, who worked so hard to get into their career to feel like they're at rock bottom, who put so much energy in scaling to become who they thought they wanted to be, only to feel like it's not it. And so what I wanted to do is be able to find that need for people and fill that, help them walk themselves through moving through the void, collapsing time, feeling stuck, right? Man, I felt stuck for like 5 years, guys. And I had to work with other people to help gain the tools to get myself out of that. And if this helps you today, if doing these three things of visualizing, sitting with the intentional goal setting, and then taking action on just even one or two of those, I promise massive, massive growth and change. So if this helped you today, please feel free to share it. Feel free to hit me up over on social media or send me a message if you are interested in being a part of our podcast or a part of doing a live here on the YouTube channel. Please let me know. You can reach out to thislife'sthepits@gmail.com. Let me know. Let me know if you're interested or if there's somebody that you know who would benefit from meeting with me on the podcast. I would love to have them on. So, with all that said, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for always rooting for me and being a part of my world and this community that we're building over here. And as always, go set the world on fire. See ya.